You do think the setup is largely about September and how they line that up. And you point out that some of the data has been reassuring. Some of it does point to maybe some below potential growth, right?
Yeah, look, we know what's happening this week, right? The Fed is not going to cut. They're going to stick to the wait and see through the summer approach, make the decision in September, though the two Trump appointees, Waller and Bowman, will, I think, dissent in favor of an immediate cut. So, yeah, the focus is on how they set up September. My view, Powell's going to emphasize that it will be data dependent, but will also suggest that the bar for a September cut is not that high, and I think there is a soft default for a cut at that September meeting.
It's going to be followed a couple days later by a jobs number. We were talking this morning about the wide range of estimates. It goes from 0 to 170K. I wonder, I know consensus is around 100, but what do you think the potential is for a surprise on Friday, either way?
Well, I mean, you can see from how wide the estimates are, right? That the honest answer is that people who, spend a lot of time trying to figure this out see a lot of uncertainty as to where the labor market's going to print this Friday and again, this next month as well. Now, I think that's why the Fed is in wait-and-see mode, right? They don't want to just see data from June. They want to see data from June, July, and August, and then make that call on rates. I think the picture up to this point has been labor market in aggregate, pretty solid, but with some softening under the hood. And in that last employment report, of course, hints of private sector hiring, particularly outside of those non-cyclically sensitive health and education sectors. The private sector hiring is quite weak. If we get that private sector weak hiring theme confirmed in Friday's print, that's going to push the Fed again more in the direction of that September cut.
Do you think the deals that we've seen with Japan, with the EU, provide enough clarity on the tariff front, or do they need to see some more clarity with China as well?
So certainly the Fed, like the rest of us, would like clarity on tariff policy in order to assess, how that's going to impact the economy and make it easier to make decisions. But as you say, we have had some clarity on some important tracks. The European track, the Japanese track, and some of the others. I don't think the Fed is going to take the absolutist position that they need to wait for perfect clarity on everything before they make a decision. It's a risk management assessment, as monetary policy almost always is.
Finally, Krishna, there was a Reuters poll last week, and they asked economists about their confidence in official government data, economic data. 9 out of 10 economists said they were concerned about the quality of data. Today, there's some charts going around looking at CPI and the percentage of CPI inputs that are essentially a guess based on other inputs. It's gone from like 10% to 35% in the span of a few months. Is that getting talked about?
It is getting talked about in kind of nerdy, economist circles. Those of us who are kind of, econ wonks worry about this stuff a lot. Look, I think the U.S. data is still pretty good quality overall, but there is some deterioration in the collections. I would argue also that we've got to be a little wary now about how people are responding to the household survey and the labor market report, with some undocumented migrants potentially responding differently. Not necessarily just truing up their answer here for fear of the consequences. So both because of collection and because of reporting bias, some of the data right now is getting fuzzed up. I don't think this is bad enough to make it, incredibly difficult to see what's going on in the U.S. right now, as, for instance, has been the case in the U.K. labor data for a while, flying blind because the data is just so bad. But we don't want to go there. We don't want to see the data continue to deteriorate to the point at which not just the Fed, but decision makers in corporate America and households just don't have good information upon which to base their decisions.
Right. Yeah. Response rates, that's a longer term. It's been going on for a while, but we'll keep our eye on it with your help. Krishna, appreciate it for helping us set up the Fed meeting.
Anytime.
Krishna Guha, Evercore.